All right, welcome to another edition of the Fifth Down Sports Show, a very special edition as we are getting ready for game one of the NBA Finals, or as some like to call it, the World Championship Series. And we get ready for Nuggets versus Heat. As we come to you live, we are adjacent to the Gino Naz studio, but we are still in the building. But we are getting set up here so that we can view the game as we give you the show here. So if you wish to be involved, if you wish to talk about the game with us or watch the game with us as we go along, feel free to call into the show. 646-668-8415 is the Blog Talk number. We also have our Facebook page. We also have our StreamYard going, our YouTube page with the StreamYard link in it. So if you put that link in, you'll get right into the show, and you can join us that way as well. However you wish to join the show. As we watch the game here, as I look to put it on the television, let's find out what happens. And it looks like we are good to go, as we have a little commercial going on right now. But we're getting ready here. We'll do a little bit. We'll do a little bit of the game and get that going. But while we're waiting for the game to start, while we're in between what we need to get done. What we're going to talk about tonight is a very serious topic, and a very serious topic because I have watched people talk about this issue for weeks now, and everybody seems to be everybody just seems to be letting this slide as though, what happened to Buffalo Bills former punter Matt Araiza, as though it's a symptom of, it's just about somebody lying. It's not that. That's a simplistic view of this. There are many players in this story that have done Matt Araiza dirty, from the media to the Buffalo Bills organization, to the young lady who decided to lie about him to upend his career and to basically hold him hostage. It's an issue that needs to be discussed, and each and every aspect of this needs to be addressed in order to properly assess what the proper etiquette should be for this kind of situation. I mean, this isn't the first time we have seen athletes lose their entire being because somebody lied. And this goes back to the Duke lacrosse scandal. If everybody remembers what happened there, people's lives were ruined because of that. Coaches were fired. Seniors lost their senior season. Players that would have played there transferred because they didn't know what was happening with the program. A lot of things happened because one person made up a lie. The media rolled with it. They got involved. And the people in charge of the NCAA, of the ACC, of Duke University did not do their due diligence. They did not protect the athletes from a false accusation. They acted as though everything was on the up and up. when in fact it was all made up. And that's the situation here with Matt Araiza. Now, Matt Araiza, a punter for the Buffalo Bills, actually was a rookie, got drafted, had just won the Ray Guy Award as the best punter in college. And what up, A Pizzle? And by the way, A Pizzle, Sunday, we will get to it in this episode. Sunday, the Summer of Greatness is going on. Sunday at 2:00. We have our first tournament of the year. We will introduce it at the end of the program. We'll talk a little bit about it. But we'll get into all of that. But A Pizzle in the chat, in the comments, as I've always said, if you wish to join, all the ways are posted in the chat. So if you wish to join us. But as I was saying about Matt Araiza. So Matt Araiza is drafted. He's the best punter in college and is poised to be a big part of the Buffalo Bills organization. Then he is accused by a young lady of having sexual relations with the lady at a party, bringing her to a house and leaving her there, where she was essentially, there's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to say it, where she was essentially gang raped. And and she alerted it was facilitated by Matt Araiza. That story comes out. The Buffalo Bills have two options here. Cut ties with Matt Araiza right away and say, this is too much of a headache. We don't want to deal with it. Or B, look into it, investigate the claims, and treat the claims as though they are for real, and get to the bottom of what actually happened. And get all the facts before you make any kind of move. There are mechanisms within the league to do such a thing, to put a guy on suspension, to say, hey, you're suspended until we flesh this out. And they can go about and do their due diligence and get that done while that's taking place. While that's taking place, they can find out what is actually happening. Now, the Buffalo Bills came out and said, after a thorough investigation, we have decided to cut ties with Matt Araiza. What about that statement? That statement right there says they looked into this. It gives validity to the comments and says, hey, they investigate. If they did an investigation and they found evidence of this being the case, then they've acted accordingly. So everybody is of the thinking right now, oh, the Buffalo Bills investigated it. They cut him. So therefore, there must have been, the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, come to figure out, after the season is over, a wasted year for this kid who had everything in front of him, a wasted year. It now comes out in the criminal investigation that none of this happened. That Matt Araiza was not even there's evidence showing that he was not even at the house in question, that he was somewhere else during the event. The said victim has come out and retracted her statement that none of this happened. She made it all up. It was fake. So my question, now, you can be mad at her, and people have said that, and that's fine. You can be mad at her. I am as well. Being a man, being somebody who's seen this happen, as I said before, with the Duke lacrosse case, with the Duke player earlier this year that said racial slurs were said when they played at BYU, when you can clearly hear that nothing was said. This has been done before on lesser scales. But here's the problem. The Buffalo Bills came out and said they did a thorough investigation into the matter and they needed to cut ties with Matt Araiza. My question to the Buffalo Bills, and until I get an answer, which I won't because everybody has seemed to have forgotten about this statement, that the Buffalo Bills did a thorough investigation. What did you investigate? What did you get? Because the cursory investigation, they didn't even get to a trial. They got to, we need to investigate this. They investigated it and immediately said, this is bogus. This is a bogus claim. So how thorough was this Buffalo Bills investigation? That needs to be addressed. That needs to be addressed by not only the NFL, it needs to be addressed by lawmakers, it needs to be addressed by anybody, that a business can come out and say, well, we thoroughly investigated it and we need to get out of here. We need to hold this guy accountable for something he didn't do because we did a thorough investigation. If you did a thorough investigation and it turned up that he did nothing, that none of this was true, then why did you have to cut him? You cut him because it was too much of a headache and it was too much of a hassle to do the investigation. That's all you had to say, Buffalo Bills, is we don't need this headache. We got a season to play. We got a season to get ready for. We got a championship level team, which the Bills had at the beginning of the year. There's no question about that. But the bigger issue is that the Buffalo Bills came out and said, we did a thorough investigation and our assessment is that we have to cut ties with Matt Araiza. Immediately people jumped to, well, they did the investigation, found something, they cut him because they found something. Well, they couldn't have found anything because there was nothing there. The cursory investigation showed that it was a complete fabrication. So my question is, how thorough was this investigation? How thorough did the Bills do this? Now, I'm not a lawyer. I can only use common sense. And my common sense tells me that Matt Araiza needs to be made right by the Buffalo Bills and essentially by the NFL. And this is yet another example of the NFLPA. The Players Association is supposed to stick up for the players. They're supposed to defend the players against the ownership from doing this kind of stuff. Where is DeMaurice Smith in all of this? So many entities failed this kid, failed to protect him. And it's not like he was silent on it. It's not like he was, all right, I'm going to let the process play out. He was vocally, he vocally dismissed these charges. He denounced them right away. That said, this never happened. This isn't true. And it became a he said, she said. And in those moments, you need to take a step back and make the right choice. Make the choice to investigate it fully. Now, if you don't want to, if you're the Buffalo Bills and you don't want to do that, then what you need to come out and say is, you know what? This guy was a 6th round draft pick punter. It's not worth our time to investigate this. It's not worth it. So we're going to cut him. We wish him the best. We hope that everything is okay. And that's all they had to say. But they chose to lie to the media, lie to our faces. And the media ate it up because it fit the Me Too narrative. It fit the narrative of, nope, believe the woman. Believe them no matter what. And that is dangerous. That is a dangerous precedent to set. Now, if this were swapped and Matt Araiza, if Matt Araiza were allowed to play with the Bills for the entire year while this was working itself out, and all of a sudden we found out that all of these accusations were true, what would the media reaction be to the Buffalo Bills then? They would hold the Bills accountable for saying, you did not do a thorough investigation because clearly you missed it. And they would rake them over the coals and bury them. And the NFL would bury the Buffalo Bills with sanctions and fines and everything that they could do. However, because this move benefited the ownership group and hurt the player, the league doesn't care. So you've got a league that does not care about the players. You've got a league that doesn't care about the players, allowing ownership groups to hold them accountable for things that they did not do. And basically saying, you know what? We can lie to the media and lie about us. That is a bad precedent for the NFL. Now, remember over last summer, we had the big debate over how the league should handle Deshaun Watson, how they should handle the Deshaun Watson case. And they said, well, we have to suspend Deshaun Watson no matter what the outcomes of these are, because it was conduct detrimental to the league. How is the Buffalo Bills' conduct in this situation? How is that not detrimental to the league? What the Bills did is undermined the confidence of every single investigation the NFL has ever done has been undermined by the Buffalo Bills organization. Any future investigation done by any NFL organization, whether it's the NFL head office, whether it's a team in general, whether it's, I'm just trying to think of anybody else who would be involved. Any other investigation, whether it's on the field conduct, whether it's off the field conduct, any investigation is now under scrutiny because the Buffalo Bills lied to the media. They lied to save face. They lied because they did not want the backlash from the Me Too movement. They wanted everybody to say, see, look, we're taking this seriously. We took this seriously. When in fact they didn't. When in fact they took it as unserious as they could, if that's even a word, but I don't care. It sounds good to me. The Buffalo Bills should be held accountable here. And, I've heard people say, he'll sue the NFL will settle and all that. Well, right now, Matt Araiza is suing the young lady who brought these charges to him, which her attorneys have come back and offered $50,000 to settle the case right away. And Matt Araiza has said, no, I'm not settling this case because if I settle my civil lawsuit, then I cannot file any other injunctions along with it. What that tells me, as he said in an interview on Outkick, he said, if I settle this, then I cannot bring further lawsuits based on this because I've already cashed it in. So he's going to fight this to the end, tooth and nail. And he doesn't have to fight it because all the evidence is in his favor. So all he has to do is win this case, and he can go and he's If I'm him, I'm going after the Buffalo Bills because they blatantly lied. They blatantly lied and hurt his career, hurt his chances of being signed by another team, hurt his chances. They made him a toxic entity for no reason. For no reason. And that's a problem. That's the biggest problem of this. Now, the media won't call the Buffalo Bills out because the media was complicit in this. They bought what the Buffalo Bills were selling them. They had no problem going along with it when they did. And that's a bigger issue than, women can lie. Anybody can lie to hurt another person. Anyone can do it. It's not a gender specific thing. And that's not to say that's not to say we don't need to we don't need women shouldn't be believed anymore. No. They should all be believed. They should all be investigated. They should all be taken seriously. All claims. Any claim that you have should be investigated properly by all entities involved. There should be NFL protocol for this that says, you know what? That says if an off-the-field incident is brought to our attention, we handle it in this way, and it's spelled out, and it's agreed upon by the Players Association and the ownership group and the commissioner's office to say, these are the steps we take. A player is suspended until the investigation is completed. B, investigation starts right away. And as soon as credible evidence is found in either direction, then the punishment is reevaluated as far as how long, time served, and whether or not it was relevant to begin with. And then the last part is, if found irrelevant, then compensation is available for said player because of the action. That is how you address this in a way that gives everybody their agency. It allows the supposed victim to make their claims, to state their evidence, to give to get on the record of, well, this is what happened. This is where it happened. This is how it happened. Here's eyewitnesses to it happening, and all of that. Now, people could say, oh, it's not up to the Bills. It's not up to the NFL. And that's just not the case. If you're going to make public statements about someone else, then it is then you are part of it. Because you are now part of the narrative. You are now part of the discussion. So you need to be you need to be held accountable for the things that you say in public. And that's why this story is important. That's why this story doesn't end here. It doesn't end with the Buffalo Bills because the New York Jets have brought him in for a trial, and I think he would be perfect for the Jets. The Jets already have a situation where, go back to last year, where the New York Jets lost a football game because of a punt return for a touchdown. Well, if you have a punter that can bang the ball 80 yards, that increases your ability to not give up a game-winning punt return for a touchdown. The Jets are also, because of the Aaron Rodgers situation, they're also in a cap situation that they have to manage. So, yes, they have a veteran punter on the roster right now. But if you can bring a guy in at an unsigned rookie contract, then you should be able to, then the Jets should be able to save some money, get a guy, and give a happy ending to a story that needs it. To a story that needs it because the NFL needs this to go away. But I'll tell you right now, it's not going away here. It will not stop with, well, Matt Araiza's in the NFL, so we can just stop. We can just stop looking at it because it worked out. Everybody has gone their separate ways. Everybody's gotten some out of it. No, until there is until this incident changes how the NFL reacts to these situations, and they have something on the books, then we'll be asking for where's that investigation, Buffalo Bills? Where is the investigation into the Matt Araiza trial? Where's the thorough investigation? What evidence did you find to make your decision, to push your decision in the way that you did? Because I can guarantee you right now, they didn't do any of that. I can guarantee you they did not. They said those words to say, all right, that'll give us cover. That'll give us cover for the time being. And that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace to a league that is already faulty at best in terms of player and ownership and the treatment of both, where the owners are pretty much treated as, well, the owners can do whatever they want. The players have to deal with it. And if a player messes up, well, the ownership group and the NFL at large has to hold them accountable, or sponsors are going to leave and all of this. That's the only way this is going to change. And you can go back to the Adrian Peterson situation, where he used a switch from a tree to discipline his child, and the NFL and the Minnesota Vikings did not respond until a sponsor said, we refuse to sponsor this organization until there is a punishment handed out. Then the NFL got involved and started to do their thing. But to sit here and say, well, the NFL players, they have no agency and they can't protect themselves, that's a bunch of baloney. This is what the union is for. This is what DeMaurice Smith gets paid for, is to make it so that this situation does not happen to anyone else. That's what should be the focus here. That when this happens, cooler heads prevail, and there is a protocol for figuring this kind of stuff out. Nice steal by the Nuggets, and the Nuggets take a 9-point lead in the first quarter. Let's see, Kyle Lowry is way off, and Kyle Lowry, don't get me started on Kyle Lowry, but 29-20 at the end of the first quarter in Denver, Colorado. The Nuggets lead by 9 after the first quarter. All right. So that's why I'm bringing this up at the beginning. That's why I'm talking about this situation. Because it's not about whether somebody's right or wrong. It's not about criminal activity. It's not about whether it's criminal to lie. It's not criminal. It's morally atrocious. And everybody involved, from the young lady to the Buffalo Bills front office to the Buffalo Bills hierarchy as far as owners and managers and all of that, they should all be ashamed of themselves. And they're not going to be, because they're going to say, we did the right thing. We did the right thing. Well, did you? Because your inaction and then lying about your inaction is what caused this whole scene to go from, all right, this is something we need to look at, to a powder keg in about 30 seconds of, So I think that's where we need to be at. I think that's where we need to aspire to get to. So with that, let's move on to topic number 2. And topic number 2 in the rundown takes us off the court, off the field, and into the cinema, where last week at this time we were reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy. There will be no review for the new version of The Little Mermaid. And there's a reason why the thumbnail for this video is Ariel from the 89 classic film, the cartoon film. I use that Ariel because that's the Ariel that everybody knows and loves. That's the one that made The Little Mermaid what it is. Now, Disney, for reasons I can't explain, they have decided that every single person that works on that works on camera All right. So, sorry about that. I was just trying to get back to the game. What a play by the Nuggets here. So the Nuggets up 29-20 here as we start the second quarter of game 1 of the NBA Finals. We're sitting here making this. As I said, we're talking about Trevor Ariza. Now we're going to move on to Disney and talk about The Little Mermaid. And look, you can talk about The Little Mermaid in a lot of different ways. Everybody has talked about it. We talked about it on Setting the Scene 3 weeks ago about making changes for representation's sake is not the way to do this. That you take all the agency out of the character, that you take all the agency away from the change that you made. The representation, because of the way you did it, is now undermined because of the way you decided to do this. Now, with that being said, one, this movie was flawed from the get-go. From the get-go, because look, I'm not one of these people. Yes, I saw the Little Mermaid when I was a kid. I didn't grow up. I didn't live in a rock. We saw the Little Mermaid. Daycare, we probably watched it a bunch of times because that's what the girls wanted to watch, and we were like, all right, whatever. Like, we'll watch it because it's on. But I was never attached to it. I was like, all right, do whatever you want with it. It's still a good story. It still has a good tale to it. It's still about at the heart of The Little Mermaid, 1989. The heart of the story is about trust, and it's about getting out of it. It's about exclusivity. King Triton does not like he has a gripe with the humans and does not want his daughter being involved with humans because of things that happened in their past. Now, in this movie, they took all of that away. They took all that backstory away. They took all of that and said, you know what? We're going to crush it. Because instead, we have to have Ariel be the center of the story. We have to make Ariel the one that the one that wins in the end, the one that drives the final death blow, which I mean, I said this on Jane Theory's stream on Saturday. Just picture this for a minute. A fish, a mermaid is a fish who's lived in the ocean and swims in the ocean all her life, steered a ship into the final boss mode of Medusa. Just let that sink in. A fish could steer a boat when she's never done it before in her life. So, how did that happen? How did you get to that conclusion by watching this movie? And we're going to talk about this on Setting the Scene coming up. We have a whole stretch of where we're going to talk about why they made these decisions and why these remakes are failing. But it's the remake, this version of The Little Mermaid, and all the changes that they made were not made because because this is the story and this is how we're going to make our story fit. No, they were changed, and they were changed deliberately because they didn't like the 1980. The writers and the producers and the actors did not like the 1989 movie. And if you don't like the entity you're making a movie about, you're not going to treat it with the respect that it deserves. And it showed. It showed in this movie. It showed in the characters. It showed in the lifeless characters that they brought to it. Because that wasn't their concern. Their concern was not about making the characters, was not about making Flounder look bright and no, we have to make it look realistic. No, you don't. You don't have to make it realistic at all. And oh my God, that guy got punched in the face, and he is down at the other end. And like, I'm just looking at this right here. I want to see the replay of this. All right, so he got an inadvertent elbow to the head. So I'm just surprised that they let the play continue after a player got hit in the head. I thought protocol was you need to stop the game immediately to tend to the player. But I guess that's not the case anymore. I'm guessing they let it play out or whatever, but that's not a good sign. Okay. But back to the Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid, the reason why it's failing, and don't let the media, don't let the people at Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, do not let them fool you. Because some of it is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. So you're getting scores for this movie that are off the charts. We saw 95% audience rating. No, it was 95 from verified, choice selected reviews. The true score is somewhere around 47%. Half the audience walked away from this movie thinking it was terrible. But you're not going to hear that. And when you do hear, oh, there's criticism of this movie, well, it's just criticism by racist people who don't want to see a black woman on screen. When that's not the case. It has nothing to do with It has nothing to do with the race of the character. What it has to do with is the destruction of the story and the fact that Disney is involved and they have basically burned every bridge that they have with the existing fan bases. But it's also, they hired people who did not like the original. They don't like the source material. If you don't like the source material, you're not going to give it the effort and you're not going to give it the agency that it needs to survive. So as I said, we will get more into that as we go along. We'll get more into that on Setting the Scene next week with our video entitled Reboots, Remakes, Reboots, Regurgitations. That's the name of it, because that's what they're doing here. They're not giving you they're latching onto an IP that they say, all right, we put this name out there. It's going to attract fans of that genre, and we're going to milk them for all they're worth. Now, that's their goal. However, when you have the directors and the actors actively saying in their promotion, well, the old story needed to be updated. It needed to be changed. It needed to be reimagined. Well, what that does is it completely overrides. It makes most of the audience that said, wait, you didn't like the film? I liked the first one. It makes them say, I liked it. If you didn't like it, what kind of garbage are you going to put out there? And they don't go. They don't tune in. And what we saw from The Little Mermaid, but like I was talking about with the IMDb scores, the scores have been manipulated so crazily that it's actually funny when you read a bunch of them. Because you'll hear dull, pathetic plot. The guy said it was dull, pathetic. It had a dull, pathetic plot and very little character building. Well, if that's how they're going to treat, if that's how they're going to treat the IP if you're going to see this because you know and love the Little Mermaid, well, if you're going to watch a Little Mermaid movie made by people who don't like the Little Mermaid to begin with, so on that note, you should be, the fans of the IP are rightfully upset. But here's an example of some of the fan baiting that went on. Now the way that works, the way that IMDb works is you leave a score and then you have the option to explain your score. Well, the Celtics lost twice. Okay. Well, the Celtics lost 4 times in the Eastern Conference Finals. And sorry about that. So what you're talking about here is a situation where they wanted to get all the fans, they wanted to get the nostalgic fans back to watching their product again, and all they did was drive them further away. Okay. Well, so we're going to talk a lot about that on Setting the Scene coming up, about the modern remakes and why they fail so miserably. Why modern remakes are failing so miserably is because they don't know how to build character. They don't know the agency of the characters. They don't bother to watch or read the source material. They actively hate the source material and want to change it. Well, once you change the source material, that's it. So one of the reviews that I read said, quote, extremely boring plot, not much character building, rating 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 when everything they said was negative about the movie. Like, I wish I had these guys grading me when I was in high school and college. I would much rather have these people grading me where I can have everything fail and have it be so. That's the entity that we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. You have people that are leaving absolutely terrible reviews, but because they want the review to stay up, yeah, they'll rate it 7 out of 10, even though every aspect of the movie was terrible. Even though every aspect of the movie they didn't like, well, it's still a 7 out of 10. They just showed Jokic driving to the hoop where he karate chopped the guy on him, and clearly that's not an offensive foul. So apparently, this group of NBA refs believes that you, as a driving player, can karate chop a dude in the chest, and it doesn't matter. So I don't get it. I just don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. But so that's the Little Mermaid. I'm not going to see this movie because I don't care about it, and because I'd rather do pretty much anything else other than watch this version of The Little Mermaid. Now, when it comes out on Disney Plus, if Disney Plus doesn't, kick everybody off, then maybe I will. Maybe I will. So that's The Little Mermaid. Like I said, I will be doing a setting the scene where we talk about all the tropes of the modern remake. And the next episode will air next week sometime, entitled Remakes, Reboots, Regurgitations. Because that's all this movie is. It's just a big cringe fest that makes you want to puke at every turn. So that's where we stand with that. Now, let's scroll down. All right. So what I'm looking at here is, so now let's get into the final topic of this discussion, which we're watching right now, the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals, which were correctly predicted on this program and on many other programs that I was on. In September, when the NBA was starting, I said Nuggets, Heat in the finals, and I said Nuggets, and I say Nuggets win in 5. So I think that's what we got. So the NBA Finals is going on right now. Denver is pretty much taking it to the Miami Heat, which they needed to do, because you can't give a team like the Red Sox any kind of agency, because they will use it against you. So that's where we stand with that. Nuggets Heat, of course, predicted on this program. So not surprised that they're in the finals, playing against each other. Now, in this game, it looks like the Miami Heat do not have anyone that can match up with Brian Reeves. With Austin Reeves in the game for the Lakers, shooting up absolutely bad shots. But that's the NBA now. We're going to set a pick. You're going to shoot a 3. That sounds like current day tomorrow. So that's the case. All right. Final topic of the day. Sunday, live from Z's Cafe at 2:00. The Fifth Down Sports Show will be at Z's Cafe here in West Haven, Connecticut. We'll be live from the bar, and we will be we begin the Summer of Greatness. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Summer of Greatness is a tournament style that we do where we take a topic, take the 16 best things that fit that topic, and we put them head to head against each other based on categories that we come up with that match to that specific topic. So that's what we're going to do. And this Sunday, we are going to find out what the best sporting event is. So we're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about Olympic qualifiers. We're going to be talking about X Games. We're going to be talking about all kinds of sport are going to be put on this list. And what we're going to look for is, We're going to look for best to watch on television, best to watch in person, best to watch we're going to talk about most passionate fans. Which entity has the most passionate fans? So we're going to go a little bit with that. So that will be later on in the program. That will be later on. That will be on Sunday when we go to Z's. We'll talk about that. But what makes up a whoa? All right. So that's going to happen on Sunday. We're going to talk about the greatest. We're going to talk about the most memorable matchups that we've seen. So which entity has the most memorable matchup? So we'll be able to talk about what memorable matchups there were, whether it's tennis, whether it's bowling, whether it's anything, any kind of sport. We can put it on the list, and we'll end up doing it that way. So, all right. So the NBA Finals was going into the second half here, and with it being halftime, I am going to sign off. This has been the Fifth Down Sports Show. Again, we talked about Matt Araiza, the punter. We talked about the Little Mermaid and reboots in general and why they are failing and what's going on there. So I want to thank everybody who gets to see this. If you watch the video, if you like what you heard, like, subscribe, share, do all the YouTube things. If you didn't like what you hear, well, let us know what you didn't like about it, and we'll work on instituting some of those changes. But for now, I'm going to enjoy the second half of this game, and I will talk to y'all on Sunday when we play our game. Let's just check. Yep, we're good. And remember, just because I say it doesn't mean it goes anywhere. So let me put in D Willie here. Of course, there's two of them there. All right, so remember, anything you heard here, anything we said, just always remember.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.